It's good to be here and to be with you. I'm Karen Hebel, and I'm a member of the UU Fellowship of Clemson's Worship Associate Team. Each week, this community comes together to participate in worship, music, and reflection. This is where we seek to have our hearts opened and our imaginations fired. This is the place that reminds us that we are deeply connected to one another and all living things. Even though our building is closed, we gather together for weekly online worship. At 11:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings, we also gather for social connection and the sharing of joys and concerns in our Zoom meeting. Please join us. If you're joining us for the first time this morning, welcome. This fellowship is a religious community grounded in the heritage and principles of Unitarian Universalism. We seek to create loving community, inspire joy and spiritual growth, and support courageous action. All are welcome, regardless of religious background, political persuasion, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression. If you have a desire to explore questions of truth and meaning and are respectful of our diversity of people and beliefs, you've found kindred spirits here. If you'd like more information about this fellowship or Unitarian Universalism, please visit our website, uufc.org. If you are interested in getting our weekly newsletter so you can get connected to our community for online social events, our weekly sharing of joys and concerns, and our collective efforts to support local social justice work, please reach out to the office by the email on our website. Let us begin worship with these opening words by Maureen Killeran. Welcome, you who come in need of healing, you who are confused or have been betrayed. Welcome with your problems and your pain. Welcome too your joys and your wonderings. Welcome your need to hope, your longing for assurance. Instead of answers, here may you find safety for your questions. Instead of promises, may you find community for your struggles. People with hands and hearts to join you in engaging the challenges and changes of our day.
Hello, I'm Reverend Christina Branum-Martin, the interim minister here at the fellowship. It is so good to be with you today. Thank you, Karen, for the warm welcome and the opening words. We begin the service with the shared practice amongst Unitarian Universalists, the lighting of a chalice. Join me in the words spoken each week by the members and friends of this fellowship. We gather together in a spirit of love with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another.
Hi there. Have you ever heard someone say, it takes all kinds to make the world go round, or something like that? Have you ever wondered what they meant by that? Maybe they mean that the world is made up of people who often look different from one another. After all, people come in all shapes and sizes, don't they? Some of us are tall, some of us aren't. Some of us have blonde hair, some of us don't. Our skin comes in all different shades of colors. But we are all people. So, in that sense, the world is made up of all kinds. But maybe that saying means something else, too. Think about the people around you, the people in your family, your neighborhood, or in your school or community. Think about the things that they like to do or the things that they are good at. Do we all like or do the same things? No, we don't. Your best friend may love to play soccer, for example, but it may not be quite your thing. Or you may love to spend time playing outside and enjoying nature, while your brother or sister would rather curl up inside and read a book. Sometimes it might be hard to understand why someone else doesn't like or do the same things that we do. But all those differences make the world a much more interesting place, don't you think? As we see in our story today, even though we all have different tastes and different talents, each of us has something important and special to offer to each other. Frederick by Leo Leone. All along the meadow where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away, the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night. All except Frederick. "Frederick, why don't you work?" they asked. "I do work," said Frederick. "I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days." And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, "And now, Frederick?" "I gather colors," answered Frederick simply, "for winter is gray." And once Frederick seemed half asleep. "Are you dreaming, Frederick?" they asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, "Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and will run out of things to say." The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. "What about your supplies, Frederick?" they asked. "Close your eyes," said Frederick, as he climbed on a big stone. "Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow?" And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? "And how about the colors, Frederick?" they asked anxiously. "Close your eyes again," Frederick said. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies and the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they had been painted in their minds. "And the words, Frederick?" Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat. And winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less, or 1 more." When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. "But Frederick," they said, "you are a poet." Frederick blushed, took a bow, and said shyly, "I know it."
Dona Nobis, Pacem, Pacem. Dona Nobis, 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 Pacem, Pacem. Dona Nobis, Pacem. Dona Nobis, Pacem, Pacem. Dona Nobis, 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 Pacem, Pacem. Dona Nobis, 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 Pacem.
The journey of life's pleasures and pains, satisfactions and regrets. As persons who are seeking truth and meaning, our everyday task is one of honoring such experiences as well as integrating them. We fix the pieces together and in doing so find the larger shape our lives are reaching towards. Part of this process of making meaning can be the rituals of joys and concerns to which we now turn. For this morning's ritual, we have water and we have river stones. The stones are smooth and the stones have weight. They are indicative of both life's pleasures and times of ease, as well as life's burdens and times of heaviness. I share this stone with you in celebration of a milestone birthday, the 75th birthday, a big 75. We honor you. I share this stone for those who are recovering from health issues that came out of the blue in a scary way. We hold you in our hearts as you move towards recovery. I share this stone for the joy of the season that helps us reflect on gratitude and all that brings us love and joy and happiness in our lives. We focus on things large and small that bring us together as family, as friends, and as a community. And I share this stone for the enduring realities of this season that we must physically separate ourselves from extended family and friends in order to keep ourselves and each other healthy. This stone is for 2 families in the fellowship who are grieving friends lost to COVID-19. I offer this final stone for the joys and concerns you carry in your heart. May you share them with the community and the weekly connection by sending an email to the office so that we can celebrate with you and so that we can help carry you in times of concern.
Hi, I'm Andy Nelson, and I found this story a few years back and thought that with many of us at home and just a few days before Thanksgiving, this would probably be the perfect time to share it with you. It's called The Mayonnaise Jar by Richard Bernstein. I'm a camp director. Each summer, I lead 4 camps for children with chronic illnesses: Crohn's disease, colitis, skin disease, and celiac disease. We bring together children with similar issues and allow them to be campers first and patients second. They swim, boat on the lake, play soccer, do arts and crafts, go through the ropes course. In short, they experience overnight summer camp with other kids just like themselves. Each year, I try to introduce something new. Sometimes these ideas work and sometimes they're a flop. At Celiac Camp this year, I thought I'd create an opportunity for the campers to say thank you when someone did something nice for them. And I'm talking little things: holding a door open, finding someone's swim goggles in the cabin, minor things that happen many times a day. So the first morning of camp, I found a large plastic jar in the kitchen, labeled it the mayonnaise jar, and put it on the piano in the front of the dining hall. I put pencils and a few pieces of paper next to the jar and told a couple of counselors that it was a way for their campers to say thanks if someone did something for them. At lunchtime, there were 2 anonymous notes in the jar. Thanks for lending me your sunscreen at the pool. Thanks for finding my hat. During the lunchtime announcements, I told the camp about the mayo jar and read the 2 notes. I thought a few other campers and counselors might want to join in, so I added a few more sheets of paper, 20 in all. I figured that would be enough for the rest of the day, maybe the rest of the week. I stopped by the dining hall later that afternoon to meet with a few counselors and check to see if the mayo jar had been used. To my surprise, the stack of paper was gone and the jar was beginning to fill up. I added 20 more sheets of paper. At dinner, I again checked the jar. And again, the paper was gone and the jar was practically full. Before evening announcements, I sorted through the notes and found dozens of expressions of thanks for all sorts of things: being a friend, clearing a table, sharing a water bottle, making a snow cone. 40 notes in the space of 4 hours. I read every note during dinner announcements. Some were cheered, some weren't, but I was struck by the number of kids that took the time to acknowledge that someone had done something for them and to thank them. After dinner, I put 50 pieces of paper next to the jar and sharpened the now dull pencils. The next morning at breakfast, the paper was gone and the jar was full. The notes described different things: sharing a teddy bear, telling a bedtime story, thanking the kitchen staff for a great meal. Again, I read every note during announcements, replaced the paper, and continued with camp. By the end of the second day, we were averaging 60 notes between each meal. almost 200 notes per day. This from a camp of 95 campers and 40 counselors. And during the third day, I began to notice a change. Camp seemed to take on a different feel. Campers and counselors seemed more conscious of doing things for each other. The process of saying thank you appeared to be generating acts of kindness and consideration. Several times during the day, there was a line at the mayo jar as kids waited to write their note. Maybe it was my imagination, but it seemed that as the week progressed, normal and expected small incidents of mischief and misbehavior at camp had almost vanished. There were no cabin pranks, no bullying, no harsh words. It was as if expressing gratitude had created a shift in how the camp operated. The jar continued to fill up. I continued to read the notes during announcements, and the paper continued to run out. As I removed the notes from the jar to organize and read them, others quickly took their place. The jar was never empty. By the end of the week, there were between 600 and 700 notes, from the scrawls of 8-year-olds to the thoughtful comments of longtime counselors. The stack felt like a treasure. Here were hundreds of documented acts of kindness that were acknowledged simply because these campers were given the opportunity to express thanks. Some of the notes were clever, some were simple, some were revealing, and some moved me to tears. Kim from Pine Cabin, thanks for encouraging me on the zip line. Thank you, Chelsea, for teaching me how to make a lanyard. Thank you, Riley, for always smiling. It makes me happy. Thanks, Joan, for understanding my weirdness and being weird with me. To all the staff, you guys made my dream come true this week. You made me proud to be gluten-free. I am humbled by the actions and wisdom of my campers and counselors, and I will never run camp again without a mayonnaise jar.
In this season of gratitude and giving thanks, I offer my gratitude for those in my life who are the artists, the dreamers, the poets, the dancers, and those simply daring to be themselves. They light up my life with color and creativity and joy and music and boldness. And they invite me to dare to be my full self. I declare we need more Fredericks to get through our winter. And I want to live in a world where our mayonnaise jars are overflowing with notes expressing love and support for our individual gifts. I dream of a world where each of us can be ourselves completely. This includes all expressions. The expressions of our differences, our gifts, our sexualities, our genders, and our aptitudes for living fully into our being. And this world I dream of is not yet. It is with a heavy heart that this week we honor the 22nd Transgender Day of Remembrance. On this day, we honor and remember the lives lost in the last year of transgender and gender non-conforming people who lost their lives to violence. This observance grew out of a vigil for Rita Hester, a member of the Boston, Massachusetts LGBTQ+ community, who worked locally on the education around trans issues and nurtured many of the city's youth. She was killed in her home on November 28, 1998, a few days shy of her 35th birthday. 22 years later, her murder has not been solved. On our first anniversary of Hester's death, trans advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith organized a vigil to commemorate Hester and all transgender people lost to violence known at that time. She writes, "When Transgender Day of Remembrance first began, trans people were nameless victims in many cases. Our killers would do their best to erase our existence from the world, and law enforcement, the media, and others would continue to do the job." The first Transgender Day of Remembrance took place in 2 cities, in Boston and in San Francisco. 22 years later, sadly, we are still enduring the murders and anti-trans attacks. And the Transgender Day of Remembrance happens now worldwide. At the time of the first Transgender Day of Remembrance, there was knowledge of roughly 30 murders that dated back a decade or two. This year, Transgender Europe is reporting 226 killings in the last 12 months. 35 in the United States. It's estimated across the world a transgender person is murdered roughly every 2 days. And clearly this project is still very much a necessary one. It's thought that these numbers are likely higher, for victims are to this day often misgendered in local police statements and media reports, which can delay awareness of deadly incidents. The majority of these victims, like Hester, were Black transgender women living at the intersection of racism, homophobia, and transphobia. There is a report titled "The Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and HIV-Affected Hate Violence Report" that the National Coalition of Anti-Violence puts out. The most recent report was in 2016. They estimate that 79% of LGBTQ people murdered were people of color. 68% were transgender or gender non-conforming, and 61% were transgender women of color. Today, as we remember these victims, may we make a commitment to educate ourselves about the issues facing the trans community and learn how we can support the many organizations dedicated to making the world a safer place and a more welcoming place for our trans family. A resource list of partner organizations that the Unitarian Universalist partners with is on the website, uua.org. Forrest Smith begs us, being trans in the world shouldn't mean walking through life with a target on your back. One of our Unitarian Universalist ministers, Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf, who identifies as a transgender and genderqueer, wrote this prayer for Transgender Day of Remembrance, and I'd like to share it with you. Infinite love, help me face this day. My heart weeps with the fear of violence, of invisibility, of hatred. Open me to beauty and wholeness, to love and laughter. I am enough. We are enough. I live in the sacred in-between. I embody the connectivity and allness of the infinite. May I remember that I am inherently sacred by my own existence. The earth is filled with magnificent diversity of which I am a small piece. May I remember that I am a part of the spectacular beauty of a diverse world. Dependent upon that diversity, my existence, for its survival. When I feel lost, may I hold on to the earth and to community. When I feel invisible, may I have the strength to shout joyous gratitude from the rooftops for all who have seen me. When violence is before me, I ask for grace through the next moment. When I feel connected, may I share my love with those around me. When I feel seen, may I see others in need. And when I am secure, may I rise up for the security of others. O infinite love, I sit within you and shine you out to the world, that we may know grace, even when we do not live up to our most grounded values. We are life, and we are lives worth living, and my life is valuable, as all lives are valuable. O infinite love, thank you for the gift of the transcendent, both, all, and infinite, liminal, glue, connectivity. May I rest in that transcendent space today and for all the days to come. And he closes with Aho, Amen, and Ashe. I am so moved by this prayer, by the vulnerability shown, and by the reaching out for grace and wholeness, despite the world that sees transgender and gender non-conforming persons as incomplete and invaluable. I close this morning with my prayer from my heart for all of us. May this world open up with the possibilities for each of us to be enough as we are, to be connected, to be seen, to be secure, and to be whole. Let us move forward with knowledge and awareness and practices that bring this world that we dream of, into reality. Go in peace, my friends. Stay safe during this Thanksgiving season. Amen.
end of our worship service today, we also arrive at the beginning of our ministry for the week ahead. We hope that this morning has been meaningful for you and that you'll leave here with a sense of connection and possibility. Now, I have a few announcements to share. The UUFC Mitten Tree returns. We are collecting new, gently used, or homemade mittens, gloves, hats, scarves, and socks for all ages, all sizes, from now through December the 3rd. All of the cold weather items we collect will be delivered to Ripple of One to help families in need. To make a donation, simply bring your items to UUFC and place them in the marked bin beside the main building doors. Parts are still available for our dramatic reading of the Lemony Snicket holiday tale, The Screaming Lotkey, for our December 13th service. Please consider joining in this fun community project. No memorization is required. Cecil Huey is offering a new online adult faith exploration discussion group titled Through a Glass Darkly, Words, Deeds, and Events that have affected our persistent attitudes on race and justice, with a regional focus. The group will meet for at least 3 75-minute sessions on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m., beginning December 1st. A minimum of 10 participants is needed. To sign up online, click the link on our website or in the weekly newsletter. For more information or questions about any of these events, please contact me, Karen Hebel, Director of Lifespan Faith Formation. You can find my email address on our website. Join the Ministerial Search Committee. It may sound early to be thinking about a Ministerial Search Committee, but we need to have one in place by late spring. 4 of the members must be elected by the congregation, and the board appoints 3 more to ensure diversity in age, gender, sexual orientation, race, and ethnicity. The board would like to hold an election for these 4 slots at the December congregational meeting. If you are a member of the fellowship and would like to be considered for the search committee, or to suggest someone, preferably with their permission, please contact President-elect Holly Ulbrich. Our benevolence for the month of November is Clemson Community Care. Clicking on the Donate Today image on UUFC's homepage takes you to UUFC's PayPal option, where you can pay your pledge and make a donation to the monthly benevolence. Food donations, including turkeys, can be dropped off at Clemson Community Care Mondays through Thursdays, 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For more information, please see our newsletter. Now, our minister, Reverend Christina, will extinguish our chalice and share the closing words.
We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace.